back at it. So Joe Milton had the distinct opportunity to come into the game and put some tape down. And that was his main that I think that was the Cowboys' main focus for him, right? To come in, put some tape down, and show what he can do, what he needs to work on. I think Joe Milton had a jittery performance to start off. A lot of overthrown passes, not a lot of touch on passes. He did a lot of things that weren't great. He did have some good moments. He also showed that he can bounce back after 2 drives where he did pretty much nothing. Didn't come. I think he completed 1 pass for about 4 or 5 yards on the first 2 drives. He came back in that 3rd drive. He kind of settled down, and you could see him kind of settle down and get more control of the offense. Let him down in the red zone. Had a weird play with CeeDee Lamb on the sideline where CeeDee Lamb got it crossed up with the referee. Ended up being a penalty. They got that penalty yardage back on the next play. It was a pass interference penalty, but then you had the sideline interference penalty as well. So they gave him the ball right around the 20-yard line. Had to go back to the 35-yard line because of the penalty on CeeDee Lamb where he got ran over on the sideline. He comes back, right, and leads the ball down the field. Hakeem Richards has 2 strange penalties, and it's strange because the NFL is going to enforce this penalty, and you can tell they're going to enforce it a lot. They're calling it a lot. They called it a lot in the preseason game Saturday, where your tackles line up 1.5, 2 yards off the ball. It's so they can get a good eye on the defensive end, see if he's going to stun inside or see if he's going to try to beat him around the edge with speed. And Hakeem Richard got called for it on a play, 5-yard penalty. Gets called for it again, legal formation, another 5-yard penalty. You got to be up on the line of scrimmage. These are the things that you want to come in, you want to work on it, right? You do. You want to work on these things, but these are the mistakes that you have to correct. And this is what Joe Milton had to say about his performance Saturday.
So DLLS.
Excited, hyped were you for that first drive? Made a 3 straight pass plays.
Yeah. I was very excited. I think that's what got me off my tracks. But I feel like, if I was to go back out there again right now, I'll be able to, settle down faster and make those throws for sure.
As you look at the big picture, how do you feel about the game overall?
I feel like if I was grading myself, definitely a D, probably a D minus if I'm being hard on myself. I feel like I said before, the guys around me did a great job, especially from the O-line standpoint. They was blocking their butt off. And then the receivers and tight ends, they was doing their assignments at a high level. I just got to settle down early and just make all those throws.
Honest assessment, D minus. Yeah, you give him about that grade. He definitely has some accuracy issues. He has some touch issues too. There's a play, I think in the second quarter, where Jonathan Mingo kind of runs a little wheel whap. It's more like a little stutter and go. Has the corner beat by 1 or 2 yards. In NFL, that's wide open. As he progresses down the field and gets close to the end zone, Joe Milton lets go of an absolute rocket, right? Sails over his head by about 10 yards. And a touch pass right there that's an easy 6. Instead, you have to settle for another field goal, make score 14-6 going into the half. Offensively, some positives. I thought Phil Moffa ran the ball hard, exceptionally well. He showed you that he can be a short yardage back in some situations last year where they had a tough time getting 1 or 2 yards. Does he make a roster doing that? I don't know, because I think Hunter Lemke can do the same thing. But Phil Moffa does give you a little explosiveness. He has some really good runs. Deuce Vaughn had 2 really good runs. One got called back for a penalty where he just showed his quickness, his looseness, get in the hole kind of closes down, kind of bounce it outside. Little stutter step, break outside. He broke outside to the left, picked up about 6 or 7 yards on a play where it could have been a 1 or 2 yard gain. That's what Deuce Vaughn gives you. These are the type of things that you want to see in preseason. Maris Lufau on the defensive side of the ball. He's an absolute monster. He is all over the place, and it's fun to watch this dude play. Always around the football, and that's the kind of thing that you want with your outside linebackers, middle, any linebacker on the field. You want this dude around the football at all times. Anytime the ball is in the air, on the ground, doesn't matter. I'm going to be around the ball. Those are the type of things you want to see. Schottenheimer said that Lufau is an animal, and he is. He's everywhere. This dude is impressive. He's everywhere. Mozzie Smith. Watch him play the first 2 quarters. Now, mind you, the Rams did have some starters to play, right? They did. They had some, especially on their offensive line. They got a newish look offensive line, and they really came out and tried to see some things with their offense as well. Mozzie Smith, first 2 drives. The one thing you can see if you zeroed in on Mozzie Smith watching the game is that Mozzie Smith, once again, was playing back with the linebackers because he's getting driven back, not because he's actually dropping back into coverage or anything like that, because he's getting driven back. And it's not a good look. They take Mozzie Smith out after the first 2 drives, and something changed. And I tried to figure out like what it was, and I looked up, and it was Jay Toya. Jay Toya, rookie defensive lineman from UCLA. I think he was a 6th-round pick. He comes in the game, and it's automatic penetration, and the run game stops. Didn't stop, but it slowed it down. That's the type of penetration that you need from your defensive lineman. Your 6th-round pick this year is giving you what your 1st-round pick 2 years ago cannot give you. I think that's an indication that I think Mozzie Smith will still be he'll make the team. He'll be in the rotation. He's a 1st-round draft pick. They're going to keep him on the team. However, it's just not working for him. And I really don't know what it is. I noticed a couple of times he was slow off the ball. There was a few plays where he came off the ball on time, and he, it was a stalemate. He didn't give up any traction, but he didn't gain any ground either. I'm just not sure like how he works, right? And he was a focal point for me because I wanted to see if there was improvement from last year. And there was times in games last year where he flashed and he showed a lot of improvement, right? But not Saturday. It didn't look good. I'm sure that he'll get a lot more repetitions here in the game on this Saturday coming up against Baltimore. But it's time for Mozzie Smith to put up or just go sit down. Like I said, I don't think that he's a player that will get cut. I don't think that the Cowboys are going to cut a 1st-round draft pick from 2 years ago. But it's kind of like this whole Taco Charlton thing that I've been talking about, where these Michigan defensive linemen and the Dallas Cowboys, they just don't work. It doesn't work out. I don't know what it is. It doesn't work for the Cowboys. There's got to be some improvement. Andrew Booth playing on the right side corner got beat like a drum. 3rd downs. Rams were going after Andrew Booth if he was on the field, and they were picking up 1st downs. Just go back and look at the tape. He had coverage issues last year. He had coverage issues again on Saturday. These things are kind of just remnants of last year. There was times in the game where the Cowboys seemed like they had a little bit of momentum. Hold the Rams to 3rd and long. Can't get off the field on 3rd down. Can't get off the field on 4th down. It's just a lot of things that were happening. Stetson Bennett was kind of running back and had him looking like Georgia days of old, right? But there's always some good with some bad. And Brian Schottenheimer had a lot to say about the game today. Talk to him, ask him how he felt about the preseason game, and this is what he had to say.
Cowboys, no, as we always say, things are as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. What was your assessment of preseason game after watching it?
Yeah, I think, I just went through this with the team, so it's obviously, pretty fresh in my mind. I think, we didn't start very fast, and think, the defense, the Rams won the toss. They accepted the ball. They went right down the field. We got to get better of getting off the field, 3rd and 4th down. We weren't great with that. I think, the offense obviously, threw it 6 straight times, and we wanted to sling it around a little bit with Joe. But again, we got to win 1st and 2nd down. I think that was a big part of it. I did not like our discipline. The penalties with the offense, 6 pre-snap penalties, that wasn't great. Some of the sideline substitution wasn't very clean. And then, the thing I talked to the guys about is seizing momentum. As you go through the preseason games when, you obviously want to win, but it doesn't go against your record when you lose or if you win. But you have to learn how to grab momentum. And there was a couple opportunities in that second half where I felt like we had a chance to grab momentum, and Clarence, we really didn't do it. So, we turned the ball over, and then goes out there. He makes a great interception. We get the ball back. We miss a deep cross, and we go 3 and out. Well, that's a lost opportunity for momentum. Then on the other end of it, we drive down the field, put together a nice drive early in the 4th quarter, score a touchdown, and make it a 24-14 game. And the defense goes out there and allows a 5 or 6 play touchdown drive. Like, momentum swings in the National Football League and in competitive sports is huge. And our guys need to understand how to maximize those opportunities, because so much can be gained from swings and momentum and things like that. So, I thought the guys played really, really hard. They really did. They competed hard, for 60 minutes, and definitely a lot of things to clean up. But we spent a lot of time today on the things that we need to improve, which I hit most of those as a general team.
He made a big point about momentum, the swinging of momentum. And I agree 100%. Israel McQuamu goes down on the deep pass and makes a phenomenal interception, and you've got the momentum. 1st and 10, Trayshawn Holden lines up on the right and comes across the field 15, 20 yards. Joe Milton smokes the ball down the field 5 yards behind him for an incomplete pass. And you end up going 3 and out. Opportunity, seize the momentum, seize the day, seize the opportunity. These are things that show whether you belong. He went on and got asked to Joe Milton be the backup quarterback, and he wouldn't commit to Joe Milton being the backup quarterback because Will Greer came in and had a pretty good drive and let him down for a touchdown. So give him an opportunity to play too. You don't trade for Joe Milton and not have him as the backup, though I think in the end he will be the backup because his ceiling is so high, but he's got a lot of things he's got to learn. You watched a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL this preseason, week 1, with a lot of things to learn and a lot of things to prove, come out and have really, really good games. You saw Shedeur Sanders come out and have a phenomenal game. You saw all 3 Giants quarterbacks and come out and play really, really well. Russell Wilson came out, went 6 or 7. Jameis Winston comes in, does famous Jameis things. Jackson Dart comes in the game and looks phenomenal, right? Justin Fields looks good. Stetson Bennett looked good with the Rams for the first couple of drives. He kind of settled down and went into normal mode, right? But those first 2 drives, man, they look good, especially on 3rd downs. Joe Burrow comes in preseason game 1, comes in and plays and looks absolutely the part, right? And of course, Jamar Chase looks the part as well. Which brings up the question is, should your starters play in the preseason? And I believe that they should. I really do. I really believe that they should. Nice, fast-hitting, hard-hitting linebacker will help fix some things, I bet. It would, man down. I agree. And I think you have that with Maris Lufau, and I also think you'll have it with Kenneth Murray. And then don't forget that DeMar Overshown, eventually this season, and it'll probably be more towards the midseason, will be back, and I think that'll help as well. Another thing that'll probably help that situation is if you get your defensive end signed. Get Micah Parsons in camp, get him some run, let him run around and do some things and get acclimated to game speed situations. And don't do it an hour before the Philly game and send him out there and potentially get him hurt because he's not ready to play. That's just common sense, I believe. But hey, man, I don't own the Cowboys. Anywho, You're watching these players play, and you watch the Bengals play. They play all of their starters for 2 drives. Kansas City Chiefs played their starters. A lot of teams play their starters. So there's a lot of question on if the Cowboys should play their starters on Saturday against the Ravens. Personally, I think that they should. I think they should play Dak Prescott for at least a series. And the reason I think they should play him for a series is because he hasn't played in a football game since last year versus Atlanta when he got hurt. And I think that was around week 8. So he hasn't played in a football game since week 8. Get him some preseason burn. Let him play a quarter, not a quarter, but a drive, maybe 2. Maybe let him play a drive or 2 in the 3rd preseason game again against Atlanta, this time in Dallas. Let him play in that game. Get your starters acclimated to game speed and don't have the game speed hit them in the face when they have to play the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night to kick off the NFL season. I think it's a really good idea to play your starters. I do. A lot of teams won't do it because they're afraid of injuries. And I understand that too. You got players falling out in practice all the time. But football is football, man. It is what it is. You have to get used to game time situations. You have to get used to especially the game speed. And you got to get used to getting hit, right? You get hit in practice some, right? But you're playing against your own guys. Nobody's wrapping up. Nobody's really bringing anybody. They're wrapping up. They're not bringing anybody down to the ground. Especially not the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks got on red jerseys, and you bet not touch my $60 million quarterback, right? Get him acclimated to some game speed. Are the Ravens going to play their starters? Ravens usually play pretty hard during the preseason. I believe that the Ravens are the team that haven't lost a preseason game in like 4 or 5 years. I do believe so. Does it matter? No. But they're getting their players acclimated to game speed, and they're playing their starters, and they're getting them out there and getting them running around against somebody else other than themselves, and it gets you ready for the beginning of the season. So do I think the Cowboys starters should play? I do. I really think they should play. I think players like Mozzie Smith should play the entire game. 1, just to make sure that you can play. And for 2, you need to get used to being in the game. Getting in situations where you need to fight yourself out of it. Offensive tackle, center may be whooping your ass, but you need to figure out a way to get around him and get some penetration and stop some of these run plays. And time again, put some pressure on the quarterback if you get the opportunity. One thing that I think scared me the most, not really scared me, but it troubled me the most, is in the first 2 drives, the Cowboys had a really hard time stopping the run. Again, I don't believe it's a scheme thing. Maybe it's a player thing. And as soon as they put Jay Toye in the game, that penetration started and the running stopped. A lot of that has to do with your defensive tackles. I wouldn't be surprised if Solomon Thomas and Jay Toye are your starting defensive tackles week 1. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And Mozzie Smith just becomes a rotational or a situational player that comes in and spells one of them when they need a breather, and then he'll come off the field and let them go back in and do their thing. We'll see how that all works out. Not sure how your corner situation is going to work. I know Deron Bland, he's probably not going to play in the preseason because he's coming back off of injury. Diggs, you probably won't see him till around week 2 or 3. Elam comes in and plays pretty well, right? In his first preseason game, in practice. We'll probably see him more in the secondary coming up soon. And you still didn't play your starting safeties, although Israel Mukuamu kind of made a case that he could come in and spell free safety, or he can play corner. He can do a lot of different things and be muccessful on the football field. Mukuamu's always been pretty good, though, man. I like the way he plays. But one thing that has interested me in the last few weeks, and I told you we would go through position battles, is who would be the starting running back for the Cowboys. Javonte Williams seems like he's going to be the feature back for the Cowboys. He'll be the starter. I don't know about the feature back, but he'll be the starter. And he's had a pretty decent career. Ran the ball really well in Denver, comes here to Dallas. Seems like he's practiced pretty well. We'll see how it goes once he puts the pads on and comes in an actual game time situation. And he should run the ball a couple times this week too. Jaden Blue, rest the heel up, get it ready. He gives you the explosiveness in the backfield that the Cowboys haven't had in a while. He kind of plays, to me, he's got a little Tony Pollard-ish about him, right? Shifty, can catch the ball out of the backfield, doesn't mind running in between the tackles. He can do some good things. Phil Maffa showed you Saturday that he'll put his head down and get you 2-3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? He'll do that. Hunter Lemke in practice in the scrimmage with the Rams was out in goal line situations. He was out with the starters, and they were running him on short yardage situations, which Lemke can run. He can run the ball in short yardage situations. He showed you that he can do that. Deuce Vaughn. Let me backtrack for a second. Miles Sanders has not been on the practice field, hasn't been on. Of course, he didn't play in the preseason game because he hasn't been on the practice field. He just got upgraded to questionable for return to practice. And Miles Sanders is a proven running back 4 or 5 years ago with the Eagles. He was phenomenal, went to Carolina, got kind of lost in the depth chart. And, Carolina's backfield is loaded. Chuba Hubbard, of course, is your starter. Jonathan Brooks, once he gets healthy, will be a formidable running back from the backfield for them. Seems to be doing a little bit better this year. They also picked up Rico Dowdle, who Rico rushed for 1,000 yards here with the Cowboys last year. He goes in free agency to Carolina. What is the difference? And this is my question. What is the difference between Deuce Vaughn? What's going on? It's not that serious. I don't know why, man. Somebody else told me they haven't been getting the notifications either. I need to go back and look and make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. But we here now. We're gonna finish this one out. What's the difference between Deuce Vaughn and Miles Sanders? Miles Sanders gives you flashy runs. He gives you some quick, hard hitting runs, just quick hitting runs, get you outside and get you some yards, kind of like a scat back type of dude, but he can tote the load. But Miles Sanders is kind of slowed down. This is not Philadelphia Miles Sanders 4 or 5 years ago. Like I said, this is Miles Sanders now. In Carolina, they brought him in to complement Chuba Hubbard. Didn't really do a good job complimenting him, so they let him go this year. He comes here. Deuce Vaughn, when given the opportunity, has looked explosive. He's little, don't get me wrong, but Miles Sanders is not huge either. He's not Christian Okoye by any stretch of the imagination. What's the difference? I think given the opportunity, Deuce Vaughn can be a part of your offense. Not saying he'll be a key part of the offense. I'm not saying he'll be a quick strike part of your offense, but I do think that he can be a complement to whoever they started running back, whether it's whoever they start. I got a feeling that it'll be Javonte Williams, but I could be wrong. Could Deuce Vaughn come in and give you a spell? Jaden Blue comes in, gives you electrifying speed, right? He gives you catching out of the backfield. Deuce Vaughn, similar characteristics. Maybe not as explosive as Jaden Blue, but that's yet to be seen too, because we haven't seen Jaden Blue run the ball other than in a scrimmage game when he didn't do so well, right? And that could have been more the offensive line. What can the Cowboys do with this running back room to make some room, right, for players like Deuce Vaughn? I'm not sure. You would say, okay, use him on special teams returning kicks. Well, you got an all-pro kick returner that plays for the Cowboys too. Will they get him more involved in the offense? I do believe Kevontae Turpin will be a lot more involved in the offense. You've seen Kevontae Turpin also line up in the backfield and give you some explosive runs because he hits the hole so fast. There's a lot of different things with this running back room. There's a lot of questions to be answered. I think the first question will be answered whenever Jaden Blue gets healthy and you get to see him in preseason. Got his heel stepped on in practice, went down, actually got carted off the field. They carted him off the field just because they thought maybe he had maybe possibly broke his ankle, maybe high ankle sprain, but just ended up being a heel bruise. Next day in practice, he was out there in the boot. He said if it was a game time situation this previous Saturday, he could have gone. Brian Schottenheimer once again said that he's made significant progress this week, and they're looking to play him on Saturday. Will he play? It depends on that foot. Miles Sanders is not going to play. I think you'll see a lot of Phil Maffa again on Saturday. I do believe that. I think you'll see some Deuce Vaughn again on Saturday. And I also believe that you may see a little bit of Javonte Williams, maybe, especially if they play the starters and they come out and play one drive. You'll probably see some Javonte Williams and you'll get to see the offense. Now, one player that I was super surprised didn't play was Booker. I thought that he would play, especially being a rookie, go out and get some play, get some game time. He didn't play, and that's okay. Maybe you rest your starters your first week, but I think going forward, you need to play your starters. You need to play them at least, I said, 1 or 2 drives. Get these running backs some opportunity to burn so you can get some separation. Got to remember, Malik Davis played phenomenal in the short amount of time that he got to play on Saturday. But 2 years ago, that was a 115-yard rusher against the Tennessee Titans on a Thursday night football game. Probably should have been the running back that came in the playoff game against San Francisco once Tony Pollard went down. Probably should have came in and took a piece of that load that Zeke went in there and ran the ball and didn't do absolutely anything with. I just believe that it's time, right? Let these players play. Not a Cowboy fan. This stream was recommended by YouTube. First time here. SMT Media Network, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on. If you haven't done it all yet, like and subscribe. My boy says it's a real good channel. First Cowboy fan that is completely objective. I tell the truth, man. I do. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And I'm going to tell you about it. Cowboy fan, hey, man, how you doing? I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the running back room. I really am. I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing Jaden Blue run the football. Strictly because I'm a Texas Longhorn fan and I know what he can give you, right? He gives you explosiveness. He definitely gives you a back out of the backfield that can catch the ball and do some things. Like I said, his career path at University of Texas is very, very similar to the path that Tony Pollard had in Memphis. You had a 2 running back system. They used Tony Pollard kind of as the back out of the backfield, even lined him up, sent him in motion, lined him up in the slot, let him do some things to catch the ball out of the slot. Jaden Blue did the same thing for Texas last year, the exact same thing. I believe that he's one of those pieces that's missing that the Cowboys haven't had in a while, especially the catching the ball out of the backfield. Or maybe Brian Schottenheimer is the coach that'll actually throw the ball to backs out of the backfield, unlike Mike McCarthy, where Zeke would get a spring pass every now and then, or Tony Pollard would get a screen pass every now and then and do some things with it. Jaden Blue can get up the field, catch deep balls. He can do a lot of different things, and it's fun to watch him play. Javonte Williams gives you some hard running, just like he did in Denver. Kind of got lost in the shuffle in Denver last year, especially due to injury. He comes here, get a fresh start. I believe he can run the ball extremely well, given the opportunity. After that is where it gets kind of shaky. Deuce Vaughn, Miles Sanders, Malik Davis now. Only back after those 2, I believe, that has a significant spot on the football field will probably be Hunter Lemke. Hunter Lemke showed you last year that he can line up as another tight end and catch the ball, and especially with Schoonmaker being iffy as he's been these last, 5 or 6 weeks. I'm talking, when I say that, I'm talking about from the time training camp started. I'm talking about last year as well. He played well in some games he didn't. I just don't think that the NFL game has translated, his college game has translated to an NFL game like they thought it would, especially to not waste, but pick him with a second round pick. Don't know if it's wasted yet, but we'll see. But Jake Ferguson, if he can't stay healthy, he won't be on the field. Don't matter how big of an extension you gave him. So somebody's got to come out and catch the football from the tight end position. Brevin Spanford being hurt, Brevin Spanford is absolutely, he was having a phenomenal camp up until the time he got hurt, and I'm pretty sure he'll just pick up where he left off. He's actually pretty good. We'll see. But your running back room, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. You got a back that can get you some dirty yards. You've got a back that can be outright explosive. You got the little engine that could back there with Deuce Vaughn. You got a lot of different things that they can do, and we'll see. I think the next position that we're going to touch, and I believe that it's the most critical position that we're going to touch, is the defensive line. I'll touch the offensive line after that because I always believe 100% that the trenches are the most important thing on your football team. If your trenches are good, normally your team is pretty good. We'll touch the defensive line next because something has to give with Mozzie Smith, man. It has got to give. Got to give. So, what's my take on the new O-line? Interesting. So, didn't really play a lot of starters. I was really looking forward to see what Tyler Guyton does, right? I'm still looking forward to it. He got a minor setback with the knee break, whatever you want to call it. He's got a slight fracture in I believe it's in his right knee. I want to see if he made progress. One thing that Tyler Guyton did, and you read about it, you watch all these videos and stuff about people working with coaches and being in the locker room, even in the off season and doing things. Tyler Guyton was there all the time, right? I'm interested to see if he improves because he's your left tackle. He's supposed to be your centerpiece of your offensive line. Tyler Smith is Tyler Smith. He's an all-pro. Your center, your new right guard, and your right tackle, there's a lot of question marks. Terrence Steele at right tackle, if you watched him in the scrimmage game against the Rams, Jared Verse was beating him like a damn drum, and that's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. Book at your right guard, rookie from Alabama, he looks the part. He seems the part. He's had some moments in practice though where he's shown that he is a rookie. But I think they get that right. I do. I'm interested to see how, and Cooper Beebe, your center, he plays well. I like him. I liked him in Kansas State. I liked him when the Cowboys moved him to center last year. He showed some flashes last year where he was a rookie too, right? And he got kind of beat up a little bit, but as the season progressed, he got a lot better. And I think that, he kind of solidified that position at center. Although Brock Hoffman played extremely well at center on Saturday. Go back and look at the film. Brock Hoffman playing at the center, he played very, very well. So at least you got a little bit of depth there. Your left tackle to begin the season, especially if Tyler Guyton's not back, and I'm not saying that he was going to be the starter anyway, right? But I'm just saying that he was your projected starter. I think that he, whoever they play at the left tackle position, right now they got Nate Thomas and Asim Richards as his backups, and Asim Richards showed you he'll get two illegal formation penalties in a row before he finally gets it right. But once he got it right, it's not like he played bad. He actually played pretty good, As long as this offensive line can run block and you have a game, a game plan where you don't have to be a run first football team, but you need to be a 50-50 team. You need to run the ball just as good as you throw the ball. I think this offense can be very, very explosive with this offensive line. Your outside weapons in CD Lamb and George Pickens, that's fantastic. Jake Ferguson, as long as he can stay healthy, very good tight end. Your slot receiver should be interesting. If they line up Jonathan Mingo outside and you move CD Lamb to the slot, that's some crazy shit right there, man. That's wild because now you're putting a nickel corner on CD Lamb and he going to eat the whole game. But you can also bring Kevontae Turpin, and it really looks like that they're going to use Kevontae Turpin more on the offense this year. I think Schottenheimer's really excited about using him on the offense. He gives you explosiveness that the Cowboys really don't have from the outside receiver position. CD Lamb, of course, is CD Lamb. He's just a dog. But Kevontae Turpin can blow the roof off that thing whenever he gets ready. Interested to see. But that offensive line has to hold up. It has to. Are these injuries going to impact week one outcomes potentially? Possibly. So definitely at your left tackle, Tyler Guyton, that's going to definitely impact that because if he can't go, then you're going to have just Asim Richards or somebody playing left tackle. And we'll see how that goes. I don't think maybe Jake Ferguson, possibly. I think most of the injuries that are going to definitely impact week 1, Overshown will not be there. Trayvon Diggs more than likely will not be there. But you do have Deron Bland on the other side, and that's okay. And you'll play Elam at the other corner. And I believe that they can hold down the fort until Diggs comes back. Only thing that you can hope for is that it's the Diggs from 2 years ago and not the Diggs before the ACL injury and not the Diggs from last year that came out in half shape and just got run all over the field and end up having to go out and have another knee surgery. That's not the guy that you want. They show this dude in practice. You go and watch these practice films of Trayvon Diggs working out before practice. This dude is going hard. He comes out like an hour before practice, and he never stops running until right before practice starts. And then he runs in, puts his jersey on, and comes out and watches practice. So this dude is really, really, really trying to get back in shape. I know the whole thing is going on with his boy Michael Parsons, you know what I'm saying? And they're always together over on the sideline. Diggs is doing his part. Parsons is still working out and doing his thing. He's got the lower back issue, right? But I don't believe that's more of a money issue. You know what I'm saying? If they were to sign Michael Parsons today, sign the contract tonight, Michael Parsons would be at practice tomorrow going full tilt. All of a sudden, your back feels better, and here we go. We're ready to go. One thing about this back injury, and I want everybody here to understand this, right, is that you can start to find players if they are under contract, right? If they're not on the field, if they're holding out, you can find them. But if they are hurt and they can't play, you cannot find them and you cannot start taking game checks because they're on the injury list. Henceforth, why Micah Parsons' back is hurting. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm still going to get paid this $20 million, but I'll sit over here and wait for you to sign this contract because my back is a little tight and I don't feel like I can go today. You know what I'm saying? That's how that goes. A lot of talent quarterbacks are too arrogant without results. Agreed. Diggs was one of those dudes. Diggs, 2023 was lights out. He got a contract. 2024, up until week 5, was lights out. Tore his ACL in practice. Absolutely did not take his rehab serious. That's why they threatened him this year, and that's why he got the $750,000 fine for not coming in and doing his offseason rehab. But what he did this year, and if you go and just look for videos, Trayvon Diggs working out over the offseason, he was present. He was there. He was on YouTube working out on his own. He was doing things. Him and his brother worked out a lot. When his brother wasn't running around with Cardi B, he was working out with his brother. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was doing. There's a lot of different things that were going on with Diggs. He wasn't at the facility doing his rehab, and that's the reason why he got the $750,000 fine. Type of corners that believe in the hype. They need to tune out the noise and lock in. Agreed. I agree with you 100%. When Diggs locks in, Diggs is an excellent cornerback in the National Football League, probably in the top 5, right? When Diggs is out of shape and not locked in, you see the Trayvon Diggs that you saw at the beginning of the season last year before he went out with the injury again. As long as Diggs is locked in and Bland is on the other side, Khair Elam can run around and play in the nickel. He can go and play outside. Bland can move to the nickel. There's so many different things that they can do in the secondary. They become much more versatile when Diggs comes back and he's Trayvon Diggs. That's when they become more versatile. That is key. So week 1, yes, they're going to miss Trayvon Diggs. Khair Elam can hold down the fort, but they need Trayvon Diggs to come back. They need him. Now, him and Jerry going to have to bury a hatchet. Because if Diggs don't start acting right, Diggs gonna find his ass on the next plane up out of here, right? Got to get it right. This whole thing that's going on, and everybody knows Jerry run a clown show with these Cowboys. We all know how that shit goes. You got to get this ship turning in the right direction. You got to. One preseason game is not going to tell you whether this ship is in the right direction or not, though. It's not. It's not going to tell you anything like that. It does tell you that you got some shit that you need to work on, though. It does. And like I said from the beginning, back, I think that the biggest thing that they need to work on is they have to stop the run. And the easiest way to do that is for your defensive tackles to get some sort of penetration in the backfield and start running these plays off kilter. Mozzie Smith is not that dude. He hasn't showed you he's that dude yet. That's my take on that. Not that you know, if I get going about these Cowboys, man, it get kind of crazy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this week. Hopefully, it's an injury-free week. Hoping that Jaden Blue finds his way back. Super interested in Saturday. I will do one more show before the game on Saturday. It'll be like a pregame show, and I'll start to kind of work my way into season shape, and I'll start doing pregame shows. Probably won't do a postgame show because I'm going to this preseason game. I'm just happy that the Cowboys are playing. They're here at home. Had tickets for like $100 sitting on the third row. Like shit, you can't beat it. I'm gonna go watch them play. Try to take my mom. It's my mom's birthday on Monday, so I'm gonna try to take her with me if I can get her to go with me. I'm gonna get her to go. Should be a really, really, really good time, man. It should be. I'm interested to see if the starters are gonna play. Like I said, man, the preseason is about players, rookies getting an opportunity to play in the NFL speed game, players that are on the fringe, chance for them to go out and show their stuff. Looking forward to seeing that as well. Hopefully Joe Milton gets some burn. I really look forward to seeing Joe Milton. I'm a Joe Milton fan. I think he's very good, but I also like Will Grier, man. I like Will Grier. He's not bad. Appreciate that, big dog. Looking forward to it. I really am. Third preseason game, I just think everybody sit down and it'll be the guys that are just right on the verge. Like we got 48 of the 52 man roster made up. We need 4 more guys, and whoever shows out the most today is probably gonna get a roster spot. And that's how normally the third preseason goes, man. And then you get a week off, and it's showtime, man. Thursday against Philly, it's showtime. It's time to go. Got to get it ready though. You have to. Got to sew up some things. Got to get some things right. You definitely got to stop the damn run. That's something you got to do. Baltimore is a good test for that. We already know what Baltimore's going to do when they come in here. They're going to come in here and they're going to try to run the ball down your damn throat. That's what they're going to try to do. It would be just a cherry on top, man. Icing on the cake if Lamar Jackson get to play a little bit. That would be fun. Never seen him play in person. Look forward to that if that happens too as well. But anyway, that's my show for tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't done it already, like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Been a fun show. We'll probably come back Saturday morning-ish. Do a pregame show against, for the game against the Ravens. Really talk about the defensive line Saturday before the game too, because there's a lot of things that I want to see. We got to be able to stop the run. That's the most important thing. Cowboys come out this year and can't stop the run. Just look for it to be just like it was last year. Just that same old shit. And nobody's really interested in seeing that. Eberflus come in, he'll set up his system, right? And it'll take them a couple of weeks to get acclimated to it. That's why I really think Micah Parsons should go on and sign him, Jerry, because you got to get him used to this new defensive scheme and get these players in positions where you're going to stop the run. Because Philly, we already know what's going to happen week 1. You're going to get a whole lot of 26, and you're going to get one lobbing the ball outside to either AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. We already know how that's going to go. But if you stop the run and your offense can just be explosive and get you a little lead and kind of turn them into a one-dimensional team, that bodes well for you. But we'll talk more about that. Said Eberflus is a joke. He was a joke as a head coach. I'm not going to disagree with you there, man. But as a defensive-minded coach, and the Bears always had a pretty decent defense. They were always pretty good on defense. It's just their offense sucked, and their defense was on the field 3/4 of the game, and they was tired as hell, and they couldn't stop them no more. But they were pretty good defensively every year he was there. As a head coach, not so much. It didn't work out for him. But I think him taking a step back and taking this role as a defensive coordinator is good for him, for one. And I think it's good for the team. He was a coach here before when he was a linebacker here, coach here before. Linebackers were running around crazy and doing good things. I think the linebacking core this year is not terrible. You play Lou Fowl on the outside, you play Kenneth Murray at the other outside linebacker, you line up Sanborn in the middle. That's a pretty formidable defensive, your back three of your defensive seven. I think it's pretty good. Then once Overshown gets back in the mix, then you can start moving him around. You can have him do whatever, and he gives you just much more flexibility, right? Him and Kenneth Murray kind of play the same position. They kind of play the same way. I just think that Overshown is more athletic than Kenneth Murray is, in my personal opinion. But we'll see how he comes back after this knee injury because he tore that knee up pretty good. But anyway, so Saturday before the game, he said, don't start the depression. I'm going to try my best not to. Saturday before the game, we'll talk about the Ravens, what I feel like they'll do in the preseason game, and we'll also talk about this Cowboy defensive line and how maybe they can shore that thing up and get it right. And then Sunday, we'll go over the preseason game for the Rams. And then my plan for next week is to kind of go into game week mode. We'll still be talking about practice, and we'll lead up, and we'll have some different graphics up here, and we'll start doing things like I did last season and kind of just leading everybody up into the game, and then they'll play the game. They play Friday night, the last preseason game. And then we'll do the rest of the position battles after that, and then the 53-man roster should be solidified by then. And shit, it's time to go. Thursday night against the Eagles, and here in a couple of weeks, first week of September. So I'm looking forward to it, everybody. Should be fun. But anyway, Cowboy C3, man, I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Like I said before, like and subscribe, man, share the video, do whatever you got to do. I would appreciate it. I do. All right, fellas, ladies, everybody, appreciate you guys. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Cowboy C3, I'm out. Peace.